Welcome to the SELFSEED podcast, where we explore topics related to personal growth and self-improvement. Today, we are going to be discussing a topic that affects us all in some way: change. Change is a constant and inevitable process in life. Everything changes over time, from the season to the stars, from the cells to the civilizations. Change can be positive or negative, depending on how we perceive and adapt to it. Some changes are natural and unavoidable, such as aging and death, while some other changes are intentional and desirable, such as learning and growing. Some changes are accidental and unexpected, such as accidents and disasters. Some changes are gradual and subtle, such as erosion and evolution. And lastly, some changes are sudden and dramatic, such as explosions and revolutions. Change can bring opportunities and challenges, benefits and costs, joys and sorrows. Change can inspire us to create and innovate, or it can discourage us to stagnate and deteriorate. Change can motivate us to improve and progress, or it can demotivate us to regress and decay. Change can empower us to transform and transcend, or it can disempower us to conform and descend. How we respond to change determines our fate and destiny. In this episode, we'll be exploring the different types of change, the models of change, and how they can impact our lives. We'll also be discussing the benefits of embracing change and the tools and techniques we can use to help ourselves navigate it more effectively. First, let's define what change is. Change is any alteration in the status quo, whether it's big or small, positive or negative, expected or unexpected. Change can be external, such as moving to a new city, getting a new job, or losing a loved one. Change can also be internal, such as changing your beliefs, values, or habits. Change can be voluntary, such as choosing to pursue a new hobby, or involuntary, such as being forced to adapt to a new situation. There are generally three types of change. That is developmental change, transitional change, and transformational change. Let's see each one. Developmental change. This type of change refers to the incremental or gradual changes that happen over time as an individual or organization progresses from one stage to another. This developmental change can be thought as a process of growth, or maturation, or evolution. Some typical examples of development change might include a child learning to walk, an employee gaining new skills and experience, or a company expanding its operation. The other one is transitional change. This type of change is more specific and focused on a particular event or circumstance. It is often used to bridge the gap between the current state and the desired state, right now, and how you want to be. It involves moving from one stable state to another, and it can be thought of as a process of adjustment or adaptation. Some typical examples that I can share with you might include like an organization implementing a new technology, a family moving to a new home, or just a person starting a new job. The last one is transformational change. I think this is the most radical and profound. It involves a complete shift in the underlying assumption, values, and beliefs that guide behavior. You can think of it as a process of reinvention or rebirth. Examples of transformational change might include a person overcoming a major personal challenge, a company completely redefining its business model, or a society undergoing a major political or cultural revolution. Either way, each type of change requires different strategies and approaches to manage effectively, and it is important to understand which type of change is taking place in order to determine the appropriate course of action. So pause this podcast for a moment and reflect to see which type of change is taking place in your life at the moment, so that you note it down. After you have identified it, depending on the factors that I just gave you, note it down so that as we go through the podcast, as we go ahead, you may know how to deal with the change that is happening in your life. There are also change models that can be used to guide us as individuals, organizations through the change process. And since we took a few minutes, you took a few seconds to reflect on what change is happening to you at the moment, and if you have noted down, from this point henceforth, we are going to now see the change models that exist, meaning the tools that we can start using to understand change, to deal with the change. So some common change models include there's Lewin's change model, developed by psychologist Kurt Lewin. This model involves 3 stages: unfreezing, changing, and refreezing. The unfreezing stage involves creating a sense of dissatisfaction with the current situation. The changing stage involves introducing new behaviors or practices. And the last refreezing stage involves embedding the new behaviors as a new norm. The second one that I have looked for is Kotter's 8-step change model. Developed by Harvard Business School professor John Kotter, this model involves 8 steps: establishing a sense of urgency, creating a powerful coalition, developing a vision and strategy, communicating the change vision, empowering others to act on the vision, creating short-term wins, consolidating gains and producing more change, and anchoring new approaches in the organization's culture. So you can see that this model is perfect for an organization It is a good model to look into. But the other one is Prosky's ADKAR model. This model focuses on the individual change process and involves 5 stages: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. The model suggests that individuals must first be aware of the need for change. Then, you should have a desire to make the change. And then, acquire knowledge and skills to make the change. Furthermore, develop the ability to implement the change. And lastly, receive ongoing reinforcement and support to maintain the change. The fourth one that I've looked into is the Bridges transition model. Developed by William Bridges, this model involves 3 stages. First one being the ending stage, the neutral zone, and lastly, the new beginning. The ending stage involves letting go of the old way of doing things. The neutral zone is a period of uncertainty and ambiguity, while the new beginning involves implementing the new way of doing things. So these are just few examples of change models that can be used to guide individuals or organizations through the change process. I personally like the ADKAR model, ADKAR model, as it resonates with the personal development goal that I had set for myself. I would love to elaborate it to you, and if you find it useful as I do, you can apply it to your current needs of change. This ADKAR model is one of the most commonly used change models, widely used in organizations and personal development settings. So you see, you can apply this model to both realms. Either you're running a business or you are focused on the goal, on the flagship that we are holding, personal development. The ADKAR model consists of 5 stages that help individuals and organizations to effectively implement change. The stages are: 1. Awareness. In this stage, you become aware of the need for change. This is actually where I identify the current situation and what needs to be changed. Remember that moment I told you to take a few minutes to reflect on a change, a situation that is happening, and then note it down. So we were in the first process, in the first stage of awareness. We were identifying the current situation and what needs to be changed. The second stage is desire. In this stage, individuals or organizations develop a desire or motivation to make the change. Elaborately, this is where I identify the current situation, and this is where I consider why the change is necessary and what benefit it will bring. See, for instance, I identify that I want to start a new habit. Now I must know what I should change, meaning I should change from the other habits that I had and develop maybe a more positive, because I want to develop a more positive habit. Now, I must have the desire, I must have the motive as to why is it necessary for me to change a certain habit? And what benefit will the new habit bring to me? Then we move to the third stage, where is knowledge, the knowledge stage. In this stage, individuals, organizations acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to make change. Now, this is where I identify the specific steps needed to make change. See, if I want to change a habit, a bad habit, a negative habit that is negatively impacting my life, now I need to identify which process I'll take. Let's say, for instance, I will start practicing I'll start following a certain type of routine, right? So as to change the habit, I will develop a new routine, and the only process for me to start that, it means I will have to start practicing other alternative habits. Then comes the fourth stage, ability. In this stage, individuals or organization put their knowledge and skills into action. So this is where I take action now to start implementing the change. I begin the journey. Then the last stage of the ADKAR, the R, is reinforcement. In this stage, individuals or organizations sustain the change by reinforcing the new behavior or process. If you're trying to cut off sleeping late at night, now you start reinforcing the new behavior or process of sleeping early. This is where I make the change a part of my routine and ensure that it is maintained. I am trying to change from sleeping late to waking up early, right? So what I do is I specifically make the change that I must sleep, for example, let's say at 11 p.m. and I must wake up at 6 a.m. Meaning I am making the change part of my routine, and I am ensuring that I will maintain it constantly. To apply the ADKAR model, ADKAR model, as I call it, in your real life situation, you start by identifying the need for change and what specifically needs to be changed. Then you would work on developing the desire and motivation to make the change, which may involve identifying the benefits of the change and addressing any concerns or resistance to change. Next, you would acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to make the change, which may involve training or education. You would then put your knowledge and skills into action by making the change and ensuring that it is sustained over time through reinforcement. So you see that this model provides a structured and practical approach to implementing change that you can apply or can be applied in various personal and professional settings. You can test and prove for yourself. change can have different effects on different people. So I want us to see the effects of change. Some people thrive on change and see it as an opportunity for growth and learning. They enjoy the challenge and excitement of trying new things and meeting new people. They are flexible and adaptable and can easily adjust to different circumstances. Other people, on the other hand, resist change and see it as a threat to their stability and comfort. They prefer the familiar and predictable and avoid taking risks or making changes. So I identify them as rigid and inflexible and have difficulty coping with uncertainty and ambiguity. So what determines how we respond to change? Well, there are many factors that influence our attitude towards change, such as our personality, our past experiences, our current situation, our expectations, our goals, our values, our beliefs, our emotions, our coping skills, and our support systems. All these factors shape how we perceive change and how we react to it. But the good news is, we can learn to deal with change more effectively and positively. We can develop a mindset that embraces change rather than fears it, understanding that it is a natural part of life. We can cultivate habits that help us cope with change rather than avoid it. We can build a network that supports us through the change rather than isolates us from it. So how do we do that? Well, stay tuned, because in the next segment, I'm going to share with you some tips and strategies on how to become more resilient and adaptable in the face of change. You don't want to miss this. This is the SELFSEED podcast, the podcast where we plant the seeds of personal growth and transformation. I'm Emmanuel, and I'll be right back after this short break. So, how can we embrace change and make the most of it? There are a few key strategies that we can use to help ourselves navigate change more effectively. One of the most important is to cultivate a positive mindset. So I'm always saying positive mindset. When we approach change with a positive attitude, we are more likely to see the opportunities it presents rather than the challenges. We are also more likely to be open to new experiences and to see change as a chance to learn and grow. Another key strategy is stay focused on your goals and vision. When we have a clear idea of what we want to achieve, it's easier to see change as a stepping stone rather than an obstacle. We can also use our goals to help us stay motivated and focused, as we learned in the last episode, as we saw in the last episode, as we heard in the last episode. Goals can help us stay focused and motivated, even when the change feels overwhelming. The third strategy is embracing uncertainty. Embracing uncertainty. Change often involves uncertainty, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Use the uncertainty as a chance to explore new possibilities and take risks. Finally, it's important to take care of yourself during periods of change, because they can surely be stressful. This means resting, making time for activities that bring you joy, like exercise, meditation, or spending time with loved ones for support. So if you're facing a period of change in your life, remember that it is an opportunity to grow and learn. Embrace it with a positive attitude. Stay focused on your goals. And most importantly, take care of yourself. And remember, you are not alone. We are all in this together. Yeah, that's it for today's episode of the SELFSEED podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with more tips and strategies to help you live a better, more fulfilling life. Until then, practice change. Embrace your change and focus on the opportunities rather than the challenges that it brings.